That's exactly what I'm saying, because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their intention, and they're not as talented, we're not putting the best team out there.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to my channel, where we bring you the latest and greatest from the world of sports. And today we have a doozy of a story that's sure to make waves in the sports media world. So if you've been anywhere near the sports news lately, you might have caught wind of some drama involving ESPN and none other than the sensational Caitlin Clark. That's right, the Iowa Hawkeyes star guard has thrown a major curveball at ESPN, and trust me, you'll want to stick around to hear all the details.
On ESPN's First Take, I just wanted to express my thoughts about the news that Caitlin Clark was being left off of Team USA, the Olympic team, as a rookie. I was on the record this morning saying this was an idiotic decision by Team USA. I just want the world to know I haven't changed my mind one damn bit. I think it was idiocy, personally. I want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm saying. From a basketball standpoint, I'm not talking about that at all. Every single player that's on Team USA deserved to be there ahead of Caitlin Clark. Without question. Without question. Every single person that's on that roster. We all know A'ja Wilson is the one in the league. She's the standard, okay? We know that. We understand that everybody that's on this team has deserved it. Their play has warranted it. They've played better than Caitlin Clark thus far. I get all of that. I'm not thinking about basketball.
All right, folks, let's dive into the heart of the matter. Caitlin Clark, the basketball prodigy who's been lighting up the court with her stellar performances, has recently made headlines for reasons that have little to do with her three-point shots and more to do with how ESPN has been covering her and her team. Let's break it down. Caitlin Clark has been a powerhouse for Iowa, known for her scoring ability, playmaking, and let's not forget that fierce competitive spirit. So when ESPN, a network that covers sports with the dedication of a sports fanatic on caffeine, started airing her games, you'd think they'd roll out the red carpet, right?
This isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that player set it.
I'll put things in perspective about what Caitlin Clark brings to the table. The average attendance in the 33 games Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever have played in this season is 15,746, which leads the WNBA. The average attendance of WNBA games not involving Caitlin Clark is on average 8,490, an 85% drop from games that Caitlin Clark is not participating in.
I've known Cheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that there was this quote by Cheryl that said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate.
But that's where things get interesting. Caitlin recently took to social media to air her grievances about how ESPN has been covering not just her games, but the broader narrative of women's college basketball. And let's just say, her comments have sparked quite the conversation. In a series of tweets and posts, Caitlin highlighted several key issues: inconsistent coverage, underwhelming broadcast times, and a general lack of respect for the women's game. She's calling out the network for not treating women's sports with the same level of enthusiasm and thoroughness as their male counterparts. Now, before you start thinking this is just a case of an athlete calling out a network, let's remember Caitlin Clark is not just any athlete. She's a game changer with a massive following and influence. Her words carry weight, and when she speaks, people listen. To get a bit more perspective, we reached out to sports media experts to weigh in on this situation. According to experts, Caitlin's criticism highlights a broader issue within sports media, the disparity in coverage between men's and women's sports. And it's not just about airtime, it's about the narrative, the quality of coverage, and the overall respect given to women athletes. Now, ESPN has been known for its dominance in sports broadcasting, but let's face it, they've had their fair share of criticism over the years. Caitlin Clark's expose adds another layer to this ongoing conversation about equity and respect in sports journalism. Caitlin's statements come at a time when women's sports are gaining more visibility, but there's still a long way to go. Her critique isn't just about ESPN. It's a call to action for all sports media to elevate the coverage of women's athletics. It's about giving women's sports the same spotlight and respect that their male counterparts enjoy. Let's take a closer look at the specifics. Caitlin pointed out that ESPN's coverage often falls short in several areas. First, there's the timing of broadcasts. Many of the women's games are scheduled during less favorable times, which can affect viewership and, consequently, the overall attention the games receive. Then there's the issue of analysis and commentary. Caitlin argued that the quality of analysis provided for women's games often doesn't match the in-depth coverage seen in men's sports. This disparity can lead to a skewed perception of the game and its players, diminishing their achievements and contributions. Moreover, Caitlin's comments touch on the broader implications of media representation. It's not just about numbers, it's about narratives. When media coverage is lacking, it sends a message about the perceived value of women's sports. And Caitlin is calling for a change in this narrative, a change that recognizes and celebrates the talent and dedication of female athletes. Now, ESPN has responded to Caitlin's comments. They've issued a statement acknowledging her concerns and promising to address the issues raised. But as we've seen before, promises can sometimes be more about damage control than real change. So, what does this mean for the future of sports media coverage? Will ESPN's response lead to tangible improvements? Or will this be another case of too little, too late? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Caitlin Clark has certainly made her mark, and her voice is adding fuel to the ongoing push for better representation and respect for women's sports. Before we sign off, let me know what you think about Caitlin Clark's comments and ESPN's response. Do you believe this will lead to a meaningful change in how women's sports are covered? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more sports news and analysis.